Hey guys, welcome back to another garage video. As if most of you and me and everyone else in the world, we're all in lockdown, I thought I'd just make a video to watch and waste some time while this thing passes over. Tonight's video, I'm just gonna talk about things we're gonna have to do to get this thing to a reliable 650 horsepower, and the tyres, and how what size tyres and wheels you've got will affect your car, really. So before I get to the tyres, I'll just sort of tell you my plan and what I want to do power wise, so you guys can have a good understanding of where we're going to be at. So yeah, at the moment, this thing's only making about 410, 420 at best horsepower at 14 pounds of boost through my setup that I've got so far. And what I need to do to get it up to 650 isn't all that much, but it's at that point where to get it from that 400 to 650-ish, around there, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, well, probably a bit more. There's not much I need to do to get that done. The problem is it just costs a lot, right? So what I need to do from the start is my fuel system. So I'm currently still running the factory fuel system, completely stock, almost, but yes, factory fuel rail, and I've got the factory injectors there, the 440cc Aristo injectors, and the only thing I've changed is the fuel filter and the fuel pump. Now, I have a Walbro 255 litre an hour pump in tank hooked up to the factory system that I've replaced and cleaned. If you've seen my Instagram, you'll be able to filter through that and see where I fixed and replaced that in the fuel pump hanger. But I'm at the limit of my fuel system at the moment. So what I'm going to need to do, because I'm not ever going to run E85 in this car, is just upgrade the injectors. I'll probably be able to keep this fuel rail, the factory fuel rail, because the injectors I want to get are the direct replacement Denso 850cc injectors, which are way more than enough that I need, but it gives me a lot of headroom. What I will need to modify is the fuel pressure regulator on the factory fuel rail. So I'll put the injectors in, the fuel pressure regulator, and I'm looking at a Turbo Smart, like FPR 1000 or something like that, or maybe a bit lower. And I'll just need to add a extra fuel pump in the tank. So I'll need... I'd rather run two pumps instead of just one big one, just for redundancy and a bit of, just about redundancy, really. Yeah, so I'm probably just going to upgrade to a Bosch 525, as well as keeping my Walbro in there. The factory fuel lines are more than capable for 700 horsepower plus, or about, they sort of, apparently from what I've read, they're good for about 750 tops, so that's more than I need anyway. So what I'll need to do is, just add another one to my fuel pump hanger and put a wire pipe in, and fuel pressure reg, and the fuel system's done, but I can't do that just as it sits, because the factory computer won't be able to run that new injector setup and things like that. So at the same time, I'll have to get a new computer. and I'm going to get a Haltech, probably 2000 Elite ECU. I don't need the 2500 because I don't want to run a fly-by-wire setup. I still want to keep my throttle cable, but the 2500 should do everything I want it to do and run everything. And another main reason I'll be using that is so I can get my air conditioning to work again. So that's pretty much all I need to get this thing up to 650, 700 horsepower and make it an absolute street weapon. The reason I don't want to be one of these guys that's got 1,000 horsepower and blah, blah, blah. It's useless on the street unless you've got big tyres, right? And I'm never going to put big tyres on this. And by big tyres, I mean on the back. I don't want to be running 16s with a, sidewall that's this big, and it's just not me, right? So I'm going to, I'll tell you about the tyres, right? So my tyre setup that I ideally want is a square setup. And when someone says a square setup on their tyres, that means you've got the same size tyres on the front as you do on the back. A stance setup means you've got bigger tyres on the rear than you do on the front. For example, so my front tyres right now are 235 40 18s, and so are my rears. Now, these are just cheap Chinese tyres, and the only reason I've got them is because I burn through tyres because I'm a bit of an asshole to my tyres, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on the tyres. But the next set of tyres I do get, I'm going to have to really think about upgrading them to get some real grip. Now, there is a upside and a downside to that. Now, my wheels are 8.5 inches wide on the front and 9.5 on the rear. Sorry, it wasn't stance. The word staggered. A staggered setup, not a square setup. Sorry, my mistake. So there is a downside to that. If you have a staggered setup, as you come into a corner hot, you get natural understeer, right? So that means the front wheels will slip and lose grip before the rears do. But with a square setup, if you've got the tyres the same size, the rears will want to break free generally before the fronts do. Now, that is all personal preference. But the way I like to drive, and I'm a bit of a drifter myself, I like the rear coming out, which is awesome if you know how to deal with it. So the biggest tyre size I can put on the front is a 255, and the biggest I can put on the back is a 275 wide. And by that I mean it's 275 millimeters wide, so 27.5 centimeters wide, and same for the front. So now the problem is, with these 235s, I get great turn in, even though they're rubbish tyres at the moment. The next tyres I'm going to get are going to be quite expensive. So they'll be Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. And then once I get them, that'll be the end of my days of being a general hoon and just burning through tyres. It'll be go fast days, track days, things like that. Now, the sacrifice that you make is mainly in the front. So with the 235s, if I bring these out to 255s, if you can see here, the tyre comes in on the rim. With a 255, it'll probably sit quite flush up against the rim here. Now, there's a benefit to having that. Better braking performance. So when you hit the brakes hard, you got more rubber on the road, you're going to pull up quicker. However, when you initially turn into a corner with a wider tyre, you get an easy way to say it is to say you get lag, right? It doesn't turn in quite as quick, and it feels a bit more floaty. However, you do get more mid-corner and outer corner grip, but you lose that touchiness out of your steering. So I don't want to go, well, I can't go bigger than 255, but people that have wider wheels, anything bigger than that is quite depending on your driving style, it can be a bit of a hampening to how you drive, especially on the track. So if you go a 2.55 on the rear as well, it'll sort of want to step the back out before it loses grip on the front, depending on how you drive and enter a corner. So I've thought about going a 2.55 front and a 2.65 rear, just for that extra grip for when I have the extra horsepower that this will eventually be making. At the moment, ideally, just a 2.45 front and 2.45 rear Michelin Pilot Sport 4 would be the ideal setup for me. But because I'm going to be making more power later, I don't want to be spinning the rears as I come out of a corner on a racetrack. So it might be worth my time to get a slightly wider rear tyre and induce a little bit of understeer as I turn in to counteract. Well, it'll give me a better lap time. Not really counteract it, but it'll give me a better lap time because I'm not going to be fighting for grip with power out of the back of the car. So that's basically it with tyres. The wider you go on your front, the less turn-in you're going to have. The initial bite, it's going to feel floatier and laggier when you turn the wheel. So I don't want that whatsoever. So I don't want to go wider than a 2.55. Not that I can anyway, even if I had different wheels. But a 2.55 is basically where you want to be. V8 supercars use it, DTM races, JTDC use it. They all don't have anything bigger than a 2.55 as far as I know. Well, they haven't for a long time. Unless on treaded tyres. Slicks are a little bit different, but they're still generally about the same size. You won't see a track car running 315 section or a 305 section front tyres. Like you're never going to see that because there's just too much turn-in input required and they're really knife edgy. By doing this is going to make this car a lot less driftable. However, it will make it faster around corners and around a track. So it's just one of those things you've got to there's a science to it. So yeah. A couple of upgrades that's going to be happening soon. Another thing I thought of that I haven't mentioned in any other video. So you know about the power steering getting fixed, the front lip's getting replaced, and I'm going to get that repainted. And I thought while I get the front lip repainted, what I'm going to do, and I've always wanted to do, but I've been just couldn't be bothered with it because it's just an aesthetic thing, is just paint the black lower side skirts here white and all the way up the back there. So they'll be all white. And it'll make the car look a little bit lower as well. So, yeah, that'll be something I do when I get that removed and put a new one on, get them painted as well. So, even including the black that runs up here and this black piece here will also be painted A020 white, so the same color as this. Anyway, just thought I'd give you a little video to watch while you're all in lockdown. Something to do. Yeah, nothing's going to be happening for a while with this, considering the virus that's going around. But yeah, I hope you all stay safe. Stay safe and follow all the local procedures in your area so you don't get sick. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.